Greetings and salutations, my operators, and welcome back to the Great Aceattorney Chronicles. My pop filter fell down. I actually don't know what it does. I think it blocks air when I do P's. So then hit the mic. Anywho, last time we finished the investigation for case number 8. And onward to trial number 2, or yeah, day 2 of the trial. What happened then? We got the engineer into the courtroom. He blew up the original device, so we have nothing going on anymore. And after all the song and dance of he said, Robo said, we kind of came to the conclusion that the forensic team is corrupt. Anyways, let's see where that goes. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings for the court to hear now.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty!
Kill me.
So that is a child. That is... How do we end up guilty? So, as indicated by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus. I knew that was going to happen.
We shall get through this. We shall get through this, Mr. Naruto, as we always do, and uncover some new truth along the way. I'm quite sure.
Yes, I agree. I'm going to have to appeal to the jurors as usual, and see if I can persuade them to change their minds. The defense will now embark on a summation examination. Are you and your fellows ready to proceed, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. I barely am dehydrated because I cannot stop my ear from blocking. Very well. In that case, I ask you now to state clearly for all present to hear the grounds on which each of you has decided that the defendant is guilty of the crime of which he is charged. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. I've known that one for years. She'd never be an accomplice to anything. It's utter nonsense to think those two would ever be conniving with one another.
Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole is nothing to do with the coroner, is it?
I have my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them much. I've seen no rigorous proof that this waxwork has whatever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture. Oh, we have proof of that.
Accusing someone without right evidences? He's not a proper job, is he? I won't have it.
Well then. Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems the introduction of this waxwork model to the proceedings has polarized opinion. Given that his face is obscured and his build is in no way resembles that of the victim, I can only applaud my learned friends demurely at suggesting it as Mr. Asman's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening. And yes, I know it seems extraordinary. But that's the point. That's why I have a strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realizes. You're all idiots. Every one of you!
What are you thinking, Mr. Naruto?
I can't explain why at the moment. But I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used. Why it had to be this model.
Really? A reason why nothing else would do, you mean?
Yes, and I'm convinced. It's something far more significant than whether or not the model looks like the victim.
Well, if that's the case, We must prevent the trial from ending prematurely, at all costs.
Yes, agreed. I have to find a way out of this. If you are ready, Counsel, you may proceed with the submission examination. Yes, my lord. Jury examination. The defense rebuttal. I've known that woman for years. She'd never be an accomplice to anything. Hold it! The order of things seems to have changed around here for some reason. I'm a copper, lad. It's a copper's discretion to bend the rules sometimes, when needs must. That sounds illegal. What's wrong with that? Legality is what's wrong with that, sir. Where do I start? I've been working at the yard for 40-odd years. That's even more than I thought. We've only had our Metropolitan Police Service in town for 70 years, you know. Oh, wow. That's really young. Of course, times have changed. The public didn't trust coppers back when I started. It was rough. We had to fight crime, and we had to fight to win the public's trust as well. And when we did, forensic science was in its infancy too, even more than it is now. And she spearheaded the revolution. Wait, how old is she? Dr. C's, you mean? That's right. About 10 years ago now it was, when I was still a youngish Bobby on the beat. You were actor for 30 years before then. That's when she started making a name for herself as a top-class coroner. And now look at her, head of the forensic investigation team, and a woman no less. Well, you won't hear me complain. It's what we all dreamt of back then, I tell you. Could you tell me without holding that gun in the air? We were all out to uphold justice, lad. Full of vim, we were. Full of vim. That's coming across loud and clear. It's utter nonsense to think those two would ever be conniving with one another. Hold it! But we're only just starting to understand this case. But why are you reading there, sir? Is this loud? The man behind those murders on Solar Pond Street was caught in 2 days flat. That's real policing for you. That's really not relevant to this case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was Dr. C's in charge of examining the bodies. And it was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Oh. That's right. Oh. That woman is at the forefront of this country's fight against crime. The idea that she's somehow involved in this murky business is a load of old tosh. I thought it was up to me to press the jurors, not the other way around.
Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole is nothing to do with the coroner, is it?
Hold it! Why would you assume that?
Well, quite simply because that unsettling swindler has no relationship with the woman, does he?
True. As it stands, we don't know of any connection.
Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if they were somehow to have a mutual interest in the waxwork.
Romantic?
A woman of society such as myself views everything in terms of relationships, you know.
Well, you learn something new every day, even if you don't want to.
One might wonder about a possible relationship between the defendant and this coroner woman.
Huh.
Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome prosecutor there. Just there.
This woman may be more astute than I've been giving her credit for.
If that's the woman's stance, then perhaps demonstrating some connection between the waxwork and Dr. C's will be enough. Yes, I agree. As soon as we have even a whiff of connection, she'll be the first to know. I've had my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them much.
Hold it!
What's our problems? Let's just say we have run into each other on numerous occasions while I've been performing on the street. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences. So we perform our great magic in parks, on street corners, and the like. But the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult.
Excuse me!
Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Ottermole? Oh, I think it's like first time actually you said names. Who are you calling a mass murderer? No? Do you have something to confess, sir? Sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look a lot like him. You look like him. Oh, right. That was the thing. He was sleeping in the wax museum. I don't look anything like the man. You want to be locked up, Sonny? Thanks, Mr. Sholmes. Perhaps we could move on. I was really wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what juror number 3 just said. And clearly you do. Back in my day, back in the good old days, when crime was rampant and corruption flowed like the river Thames. It wasn't like this. What was it like, sir? We worked our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust we did. And by Jove, we earned it. People respected us back then. Respected you? No one would have called a coroner into question in them days. A coroner's report was a hallmark of an investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put her name to it. Interesting. That was a coroner who did the case report for the professor murderers. She was the best of the best. Hold on a minute. And the apple of the force's eye. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens? Sorry. Got a bit carried away there. Stevens is Dr. C's maiden name. Oh, interesting. Her maiden name? So that's what she was before she was married. Oh, so that was before she was married. Of course, yes, silly me. It's C's now, isn't it? Stevens. I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere recently. Anyway, the point is, those were the great days of policing. Not like now. Sorry to interrupt, sir. But do you think you could change your statement to include that name? Well, yes. I don't see why not. She was Courtney Stevens back when I knew her. Of course, a legendary coroner even then.
Hold it!
She was legendary, was she? What did you say? That woman is still the best coroner in the land. Head of the forensic investigation team. Legendary was your description, sir, not mine. Rubbish! That word never passed my lips. I feel like we can't trust this guy. I'd never describe anybody that way, ever. Not even if they were still in the game. I think the point you're trying to make is that Dr. C's is an extremely talented coroner. Would that be fair? It would! if it weren't for the fact that you're trying to drive that legendary woman's reputation through the mud.
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that legendary. Huh, you think this is a gas game?
I've seen no rigorous proof that this waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture.
Hold it!
But you claimed the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick.
That I did. But there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, isn't there?
Sorry?
I grant you, given that this cage appeared from a mist and explosion, there'd have been no need to use a real person. But if a waxwork had been used, the culprit could at least have had the decency to make it look like the victim.
Did need to though? I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by decency.
The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that wax being inside the birdcage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's just not science.
I suppose we should expect nothing less than a logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society. But that perhaps means his mind could be changed if we manage to present suitable evidence.
Evidence that the Professor Waxwork was inside the birdcage. Can I produce that or not? I have evidence! Actually, I have something I'd like you to see, sir.
Oh? I must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men in white coats.
Well then, you trustworthy scallywag.
So, given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a taste of a sense of trepidation here.
So you don't trust anyone in black? Looking in the mirror must be very trying. I do have some evidence that proves the waxwork was inside the birdcage. Namely, the piece of broken glass.
Take that!
What's that? A piece of glass? Though it's unusually thick for glass.
Yes, it's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket of the waxwork. As you say, it's not ordinary glass though. It's very thick, and clearly made for extra strength. Much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower.
The crystal... Holy smoke!
Exactly! The centerpiece of the Great Exhibition, where the very incident we're talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through a window of that special glass.
From whence this small piece originated? Is that it?
Precisely. So, what do you say? Now that clear evidence in support of the assertion has been placed before you.
Well, as I said, I only trust men in white coats as a rule. However, when the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say color shouldn't come into it.
Well, that's surprisingly progressive of you.
In light of what you've shown me here, yes, I feel obliged to change my position on the matter. In that case, Jared number 4, you will amend your statement now, please. The presence of that piece of glass leaves me in little doubt that the waxwork was indeed inside that birdcage.
Hold it!
Thank you for reconsidering your position, sir.
Your words are misplaced, boy. My opinion is governed by logic and science, and nothing else. Yes, science is where you should direct your words of gratitude.
Ah. Thank you, science!
the matter with you? Too good to say some words of thanks to the mother of all academic subjects?
What is it about scientists? Honestly.
Accusing someone without right evidences is not a proper job, Easy. I won't have it.
Hold it!
I gotta ask, why have you brought that cord into court with you?
Colonel Cobb, he's been growing back on the farm. Picked him up on me way into town. He's a proper nibbler, he is.
Great. Yes, the nibbling seems to be taking quite a while. Maybe it could wait until after the trial?
Oh, I don't like the sound of that. You need kernels at times like these. Whenever I've some at big to the side, the kernels always point me in the right direction, see?
You're talking about your cob of corn?
Nibble nobble guilty bobble, nibble not guilty out. Nibble nobble guilty bobble, nibble not guilty out. Nibble nobble guilty bobble, nibble not guilty out. Nibble nobble not guilty. Nibble nobble guilty bobble, nibble not guilty out. Perhaps it's akin to fortune telling when flower petals
Like, wow. That really threw me for a loop.
Perhaps it's akin to fortune telling with flower petals, like people do back home.
So Professor Hairbrain's fate is to be decided by a cob of corn. Could you not at least wait until we've had more time to find the truth before deciding on the defendant's guilt?
Oh, I don't know about that. Me time's awfully full already.
Amazing. I know it seems a little far-fetched to think that the waxwork model of the professor was in that birdcage. But on the other hand, it explains a lot.
If there really is a reason why that particular waxwork had to be used as Mr. Asmon's double, we must do everything we can to make the jurors understand it.
The truth is, I'm sure that's the key to this. But it's the most puzzling part of it too.
In that case, you should see what additional information you can glean whilst trying to change the jurors' minds. If you can read a book whilst eating a rice cracker, Mr. Naruto, I'm sure you can do this.
Right. Yes! Okay, so I think I hit juror number 2 against... against juror number 7.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! To whose statements do you refer, counsel? So, juror number 2.
Oh gosh, me? What can I do for you?
I presume that you heard what juror number 6 said in his statement. It brought to light that the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Seized, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before.
Well, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But, oh golly, I'm afraid I fail to see what you mean.
Dr. C's maiden name is Stevens. And through that name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it.
My goodness, evidence you say? How utterly enthralling.
Counsel, the court cannot overlook that last remark. I very much hope there is substance to your claim. Of course, my lord. I would ask the court to look at this. The evidence that clearly links Dr. C's to the masked murderer known as the Professor. The killer's autopsy.
Take that!
I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago.
A 10-year-old autopsy report? What relevance does that have?
It is, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork. The killer known as the Professor.
The professors. But the man was a capital offender, so...
That's right. This is the certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens.
Oh my, Courtney Stevens.
Strike a light!
It appears that the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. C's 10 years ago. A few days ago, Mr. Dripper very deliberately stole the waxwork of the professor from Madame Tuspel's. A waxwork that doesn't in fact resemble the victim, Mr. Asman, at all.
And do you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between those events?
Absolutely. I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the professor case is at the heart of a link that we have yet to uncover. Between Dr. Courtney Steves and Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Hidden links, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is all most extraordinary. We're surely obliged now to explore this further.
Quite right. We can't let this trial come to an end now. Not while this cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best corner. It wasn't like this in my day, but we're still here to uphold justice in the end.
It's the professor. That's what links that frightful swindler in the corner.
So I guess I pit 4 and 5?
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Good gracious! To whose statements do you refer, counsel?
If you could put down your coin for a moment, juror number 5.
Oh, you mean me?
You've pointed out that it's wrong to make an accusation without evidence. But the accusation that the waxwork model was inside the second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to the juror sitting beside you.
Oh, is that right?
Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument?
I don't understand much besides Colonel Cobb, to be honest.
Of course you don't. Yes, child labor and child jurors. What a combination.
If I could interject here.
Please do, sir.
Now that this assertion of yours about the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence, it would be wrong of me, as a man of science, not to pursue the matter further.
Ah, well, me too then.
Sorry?
If this brainy gentleman said he's right, then he must be. See, I wouldn't dream of going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who's got stuff in between the ears.
Success! If you can call it that. Thank you, Counsel. That will do. As a result of the summation examination, the jury's overall leaning has changed. 2 jurors now call guilty against 4 who call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus at this time. And the trial must continue.
We did it! Oh, well done, Mr. Naruto. Another wonderful victory.
A waxwork of the despicable professor, used as a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say, it's extremely hard to believe the assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant further investigation.
It's a waxwork of the professor that links Mr. Drebber and Dr. Steve. And I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link.
I don't know what you're hoping to prove, lad. I really don't.
The truth is, sir, by using evidence and testimony.
If the court is to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness.
Oh, now that's what's actually coming. The owner?
Madam Dustbills.
I really thought Lord Van Zeeks would object to this whole line of inquiry. Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madame Tussbills to appear as a witness with immediate effect.
Listen carefully, my learned friend.
Oh, yes?
You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box. So
how deep in this case is he? The court shall now adjourn for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for taking the stand.
Madam Dustbills, yes. I shall see to it at once, my lord.
Recess!
To be continued. Okay, that's expected. My gosh, luck's been so bad lately. October, 11:53 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber.
Ah, the knight errant himself.
Oh, have you been watching from the gallery, Mr. Sholmes?
I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs. As a spectator at least.
I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself.
I have to ask. What on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What's this professor business all about? He doesn't look like any professor I've ever met before. Who even is he?
Ah, of course. You were in Germany already 10 years ago.
Yes, Professor. When I discovered he was the one who had been abducted, I sensed a foreboding stirred within me. Who knew the monster would come knocking at your door? My heart felt sympathies. Ah ha 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 ha!
As it turns out, Lord Van Zeeks is even more intimately tied to this case than any of us realized, isn't he?
Yes, how true. His great friend from university in the dock. Now a waxwork of the killer who took his esteemed brother's life makes an appearance too. Imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow, to throw that in front of the man. You make it sound deliberate. I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling. Oh yes, in what particular matter? Well, there's Mr. Drebber, deceased, and Lord Van Zeeks. It seems that everybody in this trial has a link to the case somehow. Yes, in fact, I alone am not a member of the set. Though that leaves me as an empty set. All alone with no intersection to any other.
I have no idea who this could possibly be. Who's this polite? Excuse me. Oh. Dr. Cease!
Ah, Dr. Courtney Steves, nay Stevens. Good day to you. Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you. What in particular, pray? You requested that 10-year-old autopsy report from Grayson, didn't you? Why would you assume such a thing? Because Gregson told me. Do you think it's been 10 years? 10 years into the laboratory, wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant.
A policeman on the jury had a lot to say about you as it happens, Dr. Steve. And I've accused you of being complicit in what happened. I'm hoping that you take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened.
That certainly won't be possible. Lord Van Zeeks won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it.
Wait, what? How deep does this corruption go? Lord Strongheart?
The Pandora's box you were warned about is the professor's case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me. But attempting to hide the truth, from the truth, that's cowardice. I've always fought crime in the way I see fit. I have no regrets. Not at all. And that's all I came here to say. So, good day to you.
She mentioned it too. This Pandora's box.
Whatever does it all mean? There's really no cause for concern. I assure you, when the trial resumes, the meaning will become all too apparent, whether you'd like it or not.
Huh?
Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits.
I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little too much.
Ah yes, one word of warning before I go. If, in the course of the trial this afternoon, you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sights. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, do you understand? Do not falter. Whatever may come to pass.
Alright, I understand. Thank you.
Good. I shall make myself scarce then. I purchased the bar of karma earlier, so I shall be gnawing on that as you gnaw away at the truth.
I
like caramel? Cannot gnaw away at it. What did that warning from Mr. Shones really mean, I wonder? Especially about the bit about wherever it may come to pass. It's time for the final chapter, Glenn. I'm determined to find the truth, no matter what. October, 12:40 p.m. The Old Bailey's courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of the court. Counsel for defense and prosecution, are you ready and able to continue? The prosecution is ready, my lord. Yes, my lord. The defense is also ready. As the court is aware, the case under our scrutiny began with a damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. Yet, we now find ourselves embroiled in the details of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial has certainly defied all expectations. It seems to be the fate of all trials in which this Nipponese is involved, my lord. So then, let us begin our exploration into the defense's assertions that the waxwork was cardinally involved in this matter. Lord Van Zieks, my lord, are we still awaiting the arrival of Madame Tussauds? Not at all. She is in the antechamber as we speak, and ready to be summoned. Very well. Bring in the witness. At once, my lord. Bailiff, show Madame Tussauds to the stand. Things are about to become a lot more intense. If Drebber is responsible, as I'm sure he is, it means he must have had an accomplice. Dr. Steve. And what connects the pair of them is the waxwork. Yes, the maul of the professor. That's the key to the link between these otherwise unrelated individuals. It's a tenuous link, admittedly, but at present is all we have to go on. State your name and occupation for the court, please.
My name is Madame Esmeralda Tussauds. I am a waxwork artisan and the proprietress of the Madame Tussauds Museum of Waxwork. You will have to pardon me for working as I testify. My new exhibit must be open very soon.
You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm raising my pinky every time I talk with her. Oh, so he finally gets a statue, does he? Now there are two of them in the world.
Oh my, what expression is she carving onto that face?
A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from your museum. Can you confirm this?
Wait, that is true. At first, we believed it had been kidnapped.
A waxwork model? Kidnapped?
Yes, my lord. There was a demand for ransom money left behind by the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtroom, that was not the true reason. I understand it was utilized as a substitute for the body of a murder victim.
At present, that is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense.
This is the victim of the case in question, Mr. Odie Asman.
But of course, I know him well. He is part of my odious personage exhibit. I detest to say what is evident, but Mr. Asman does not resemble the professor at all.
Yes, but perhaps their faces are very similar?
Are you suggesting that we should now are you suggesting that we should see now?
Oh god.
Are you suggesting that we should see now the masked visage of the professor? I have here the key, but it is strictly forbidden to open the lock.
That is absurd.
Pardon?
I don't know what face you've carved into your fancy figure beneath that mask. But clearly, it won't be that of the actual killer.
Indeed. The man's identity was never made public, after all.
The trial took place in a closed court. The proceedings were strictly confidential. The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains a closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that a repository of tawdry exhibits could get its hands on that information.
Well, dommage. It would seem you are unaware of the Tuskers' principles.
What principles?
The family Tuskers has always prided itself on sculpting its models à la perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is fashioned with complete fidelity. Et voilà, our principles. There is a well-known legend about the Tuskers waxworks from the time of the French Revolution. A member of the Tuskers family is said to have made a waxwork of the queen who was executed. Oui, that is true. It was a century ago now. I believe the queen's face was carved in the minutes following her death. Actually, at the guillotine site. You are correct. The model is on display still today in the House of Horrors. We Tuskers will stop at nothing to obtain a faithful replica of our subjects.
Dear me. What a disturbing tendency. A purpose.
It is the only way to obtain a truly lifelike representation of the subject. And it has been my family's secret for generations.
Do you mean to say that beneath that mask?
Oui, the true visage of the killer is there.
This is ludicrous. It's out of the question.
I can't even remember what it's actually anymore. It's so emotional now.
The professor spread terror throughout Great Britain. As a result, the Madame Tussauds special exhibit remains extremely popular even today. The killer emerging from his own grave. It is a sight to behold. You should come.
I think, madame, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on this matter. You will explain every detail of this macabre model and your personal involvement in its creation.
With pleasure.
Witness testimony. The Professor Waxwork.
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on a rumor that shocked society in London. An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse, in accordance with Tuspel's family principles. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment. I hid myself until he gave a signal. I was there for a very long time that night. As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered.
Wow, so this is totally legal. I thought she was commissioned for this.
A gravedigger? A man sanctioned this? The gravedigger? The man sanctioned this?
Wait, I will do all that is necessary to achieve the true resemblance my family is celebrated for. Nobody else knew, only the gravedigger. What harm did it do? Huh?
So you truly saw it. The face of that monster.
Naturally, I was aware at the time that his identity was a secret. But Tuspels would not be Tuspels if we did not insist on absolute fidelity to our sculptures.
I don't believe this.
I myself have seen the special exhibit at your museum, madame. I had a truly blood-curdling scene in which the murderer is emerging from his own grave.
The scene it depicts was the subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago. I have here a newspaper from that time.
Really? You just had that with you, huh?
The special exhibit was based on the picture in this article. It was the most detailed account of what happened, as reported by eyewitnesses who saw it.
The tenured article has been entered into for record. Man rises from the grave. Too absurd for words. Let's see. Was the ball mask to blame for the great blaze? The fire that engulfs... God damn, it's so hard to control. The fire that engulfed the popular theater continues to draw attention, as reports that Her Majesty Queen Victoria herself visited the Royal Italian Opera to inspect the site and offer words of condolences to the theater's owner, Mr. Frederick Guy? The theater had been under lease to famed magician John Henry Anderson, and there is some speculation that the blame for the fire lies squarely with him for his... God damn it. For insistence to hold the ball mask there. Oh, to hold the ball his ball mask there. Could his magical trick have played a trick on him? Costing the city a great center. A great center for arts. The investigation into the true cause of the true cause is expected to continue into next month, if not beyond, according to our source. Matchy rampage. Unexplained phenomenon grips Oxfordshire region. Locals report a most remarkable circumstance in which folded sheep. What the hell do you mean folded sheep?
The public enjoys absurdity, monsieur. That is why I have reproduced the scene as carefully as possible in my museum.
And it's a waxwork from that exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, was it?
That is correct. The professor you see before you here.
Most puzzling. Counsel for defense, proceed with the cross-examination. This waxwork links Drebber to Dr. Sith. And there has to be some reason for that, which hasn't yet come to light. But I'll find it. I'll get to the bottom of what really happened. I'll prove that Dr. Sees and Drebber were in on this crime together. Okay, I really gotta look at the presentation for this. The Professor Waxwork. Let me just find out who the heck she is. Well, that was unfortunate. Where is the stupid coroner? There she is. Oh, wait, it's pronounced Slice? Oh, color me surprised. Yeah, so it'll be either pronounced Thigh or Sith. Or at the Slice. So it's Sai, she, or Scythe. So I'm pretty sure it's Scythe. Cause
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on the rumor that shocked society in London.
And that rumor would be... I'm Japanese, man. I got no idea what's going on.
A 10-year-old tale now, but one that no Londoner would ever forget.
Oh, right. I know just what you're talking about, I think. The full of sheep.
Of course, it couldn't be anything else.
Yes, that story will never disappear.
The tale of the condemned killer rising from the dead. That is the central attraction of my House of Horrors. The rumors was whispered all over the city, and it was like this. It was in Lowgate Cemetery behind the prison, in the dead of night, after the execution of the killer. The interred professor slid back the stone slab, covering his tomb, and emerged from his grave. A young man who witnessed this felt a scream welling up inside him. But an instant later, he heard an ear-splitting gunshot from over his shoulder. The bullet struck the emerging corpse, and he fell motionless once more. The scream finally found its way from the mouth of the young witness, who turned and ran for his life.
The corpse climbed out of his own grave? And then somebody shot him? Who? Who was it?
Nobody knows, even today. But remember, it was just a rumor, perhaps nothing more than a ghost story. The good people of London, they love stories like this. That is why it was in every newspaper across the capital.
But was it just a story? I mean, this is exactly the scene that can be seen today at your museum, isn't it?
The special exhibit was modeled on that very illustration. For a while afterwards, the content of the article were reproduced in every newspaper imaginable. Madame, may I say something? Please, go ahead, mademoiselle. When something is described as a rumor, it doesn't necessarily mean it's entirely made up. I believe that often rumors contain elements of the truth. I see that people from the East can be just as astute as the people of Europe. Can we be sure, for instance, that the professor's execution was successful?
Oh.
It is not possible for the dead to come back to life.
Sorry?
10 years ago, I was there in Lowgate Cemetery, after the criminal known as the Professor was killed by hanging. I took a wax impression of his visage from the corpse just before it was interred. So I can assure you, the man was dead.
I see.
It would certainly appear that the condemned man suffered the intended fate.
An impression of the visage that was taken from the corpse in accordance with Tuspel family principles.
Hold it! Is that true of every waxwork in your museum then?
It is, assuming the subject is dead, of course. Live subjects have to cooperate in a similar way. I have letters from imprisoned criminals all the time, you know.
What sort of letters?
When my time comes, please make a waxwork of me. Come on, sir.
No.
My museum is famous, monsieur. To be made into a waxwork is an honor, and for some criminals, a symbol of status even.
Because nothing says hardened criminal better than wax.
And it is thanks to one killer in particular that my museum has gained such popularity in London. I refer to the starlit special exhibit, of course. The Professor.
From whose form you claim to have captured by taking an impression from the actual corpse.
There are no exceptions to the principle of Tuspels. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment.
Hold it! Surely that's illegal, isn't it?
It would seem the proprietors of this repository of novelties was blinded by momentary greed.
It had nothing to do with money. The man is part of London's criminal history. That is why I had to sculpt him, to record this history. It is the raison d'etre of the Despair Museum.
But if the man was convicted in a closed court, sent for immediate execution. Then surely nobody but the members of the judiciary present know the killer's true identity.
I show you behind the mask. I show you behind that mask is hidden the true face of the professor.
Do you realize what you are saying? The professor's identity is a national secret.
I understand. And now that the truth is about the special exhibit has been revealed, it must perhaps close.
Of course it will. As will your entire museum if you don't tread very carefully, madame.
That could be another interesting chapter in the history of my family, I think. Don't you?
So 10 years ago, on the night of the professor's execution, you took a wax impression of his face from the corpse?
Oh wait, exactement. I hid myself until he gave me a signal. I was there for a very long time that night.
Hold it! You were there longer than you expected to be?
I had some difficulties in capturing the subject's form correctly. As I removed the mask, the mouth of the cadaver fell open, and I had some problems with the chin.
Dare I ask?
The man had been dead for a short while already, you see. His muscles were relaxing, and consequently, his chin would not align itself correctly. Oh dear, what a horrible thought. Under normal circumstances, I would have an assistant with me. However, that night I was alone, and as a consequence, I missed my preferred window of time.
What do you mean?
When I take the impression of the visage of a cadaver, I always wait until 3 hours after death.
Why 3 hours? Is that amount of time significant?
It is because of rigor mortis.
Wriggly mortis?
It's a name given to a phenomenon that occurs in recently deceased bodies. As a rule, 3 hours post-death, the muscles in the body begin to stiffen. By approximately 10 hours post-death, the entire body is completely rigid and inflexible. And then from that point on, the muscles slowly start to revert to the relaxed state. The effect is often used to estimate the time of death when a body is discovered.
Well, that was an education. If a slightly scary one.
As the mademoiselle says, rigor mortis commences 3 hours after death, and is thus in the jar.
I see. So that's why you wait.
Before that time, the mouth falls open, and it is very difficult to do my work.
Ugh. It's getting hard for me to do my work with all this talk of corpses. I wonder about that information the course just heard from Madame Tussbells. It's significant. The information about rigor mortis that you just shared with us, would you mind including it in your formal testimony? I believe it could be significant, you see.
Of course, I do not mind at all. I can't help feeling that after this latest topic, the atmosphere in the courtroom has become extremely grave.
There's no time for jokes, Mr. Sato. Madame, currently amend your testimony as discussed.
Bien sûr. It took me a very long time because it was before the onset of rigor mortis.
Wait, was this after the incident with the corpse jumping thing? Hold it! Rigor mortis being the phenomenon you described, whereby the corpse becomes stiff after death. I think you said that it starts at the jaw, about 3 hours post-death. Is that right?
Oui, c'est ça. Of course, the exact duration depends a little on the season.
I didn't realize a waxwork artisan would be so well versed in the subject.
No, that is only elementary knowledge in the field of legal medicine.
Well, I had no idea about it. Then maybe I won't admit to my ignorance about forensic science.
I could ask my father to give you a very simple primer if you like.
That might be good. I think corpses should be your domain. I'm not good for them.
Oh dear. I'll do my very best.
That's pretty effed up, Naruto.
As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered.
Hold it! You say that dawn was approaching? What was the time of day then? Approximately.
Well, I could not say. But when I left the cemetery with my utensils and wax, the morning light was becoming visible.
The execution took place on 17th June, which had the earliest sunrise of that year.
Indeed it did. First light would have been around 4:40 in the morning. Oh wow, that is extremely early. That really is early.
The fact is, I had very little time, so I finished my work in half an hour. It was necessary to complete the impression and bury the body before daybreak, of course. If somebody had discovered me there, it would have been a catastrophe, so I had to hurry.
Is it me, or does Mr. Sholmes seem to be taking shape more quickly now, too? You certainly appear to go to extraordinary lengths for your work, madame. I wonder, is what she just said particularly significant? Let's wait and see. All it really told us is that sunrise in Great Britain is extremely early at the height of summer, I suppose. Thank you, madame. That's all clear now.
How frustrating. I was not concentrating on Mr. Sholmes here, and I have taken away too much wax.
So that's all I have to go on.
What's your feelings, Mr. Naruto?
For some reason, Mr. Seiss went along with Drebber's plan. Now, if that's really true, then the professor is the only other thing we know of that links the pair of them. I feel so sure that waxwork must be a clue to this mystery somehow.
In that case, I must use this cross-examination to uncover exactly what it means. Otherwise, the jurors are sure to revert their leanings, and the trial will be over.
I agree, but interestingly, Uncovering what the professor has to do with all this means more to Lord Van Zeeks than anyone. That's the impression I'm getting, anyway. Yes, as do I. After all, he has a profound connection to the professor as well. The special exhibit in the House of Orders is based on blah 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 blah.
Huh.
It only says Monday. Yeah, I'm gonna need days here. Okay, so Dust was hanging at midnight, 17th of June. So there was a 4-hour period where she was working on the corpse. But when did Drebber discover the jumping corpse? That's the mystery. Okay. The hanging was at midnight. Let's assume an hour to just bury the corpse. So she would have gone there around maybe 1:30. Unless she was hiding in the bushes, where she would just be there at 1. It takes 3 hours for rigor mortis to set, so that would match up just before dawn, and it took her half an hour to finish.
Hold it!
Maybe I should press this. Madame, those details about how long it took you to complete the sculpture and the early sunrise, could you include them in your testimony? I believe they may be significant.
Of course, if you would like me to.
You're quite right, Mr. Naruto.
It is intriguing.
A sunrise at 4 in the morning
Would be absolutely unmatchable at home, wouldn't it?
That's not quite what I meant by significant.
Kindly amend your formal testimony then, madame.
With pleasure, my lord. I urged to finish my work in the half hour before sunrise, and I left as soon as the corpse was interred.
I don't know what interred means. I really should look it up. Not a word I use.
Nothing. Turn. Let's see. To place a corpse in a grave or tomb, typically with funeral rites. So she left as soon as the corpse was put back in the grave.
Hold it!
Did you have reason to believe you might be discovered once the sun came up or something?
I had paid the gravedigger money to keep my little secret, of course. But with the morning light, I knew that the warden from the prison would commence patrol of the area.
Couldn't you have just paid off the warden too then?
I had already paid the gravedigger, as I said. You cannot buy the silence of everyone. Or the secret is no longer a secret,
The sunrise was at 4:40 a.m. that day, which means that it would have been around 4 when you began your sculpting work.
Wait, that must be correct. That would be when the gravedigger gave me the signal to come out of hiding.
That's all I have to go on.
What's your feelings, Naruto?
For some reason, they're just sites went along with Derp's plan. And that's really true. Blame it the wax. What do I present here? Is it the contradiction between how long it takes for rigor mortis and the time of death? Because the next one just said that he came at 4 and he finished at 4:30 for sunrise.
Objection!
Madam Tuspels, I have here an autopsy report that was filed 10 years ago now. It confirms the death of the professor following his execution at the gallows.
And is that the problem?
I believe it is, because your testimony and a particular detail in the report completely contradict one another.
What?
Are you going to explain yourself, my Nipponese friend?
According to her testimony, Madame Tuspels was creating her wax impression just before dawn. And at that time, rigor mortis had not yet set in. Am I correct so far, Madame?
You are, yes. As I said, the stiffening of the jaw is the first sign of rigor mortis 2 or 3 hours after death. But the man's chin was limp, so he cannot have been dead for a long time.
But on the other hand, if you look at Dr. Sai's report, it quite clearly states the following. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th June.
No.
If the professor indeed died at midnight that day, then by the time you were sculpting his face, rigor mortis would have already set in.
Wait, yes, you are right. The chin, it would have been completely stiff.
In other words, this report is wrong.
Objection!
No coroner makes mistakes when recording the time of death. The very idea is absurd.
In that case, there's only one possible conclusion. The execution didn't actually take place at the stated time.
Impossible!
Order! Order! Counsel, this is beyond folly. Not only do you indicate the author of the report, Dr. Saiz, but you also implicate members of the staff at Barclay Prison, where the execution took place. Oh, hell.
Extraordinary!
Objection!
Not my day! my learned friend appears to have overlooked one very crucial fact.
What fact?
The professor died that night, without question.
He did. Of course he did. I moved the man's limp jaw with my own hand and...
Yes, the professor died that night. But what if he didn't die at the gallows?
He didn't die at... Are you insane? What exactly are you suggesting did happen in that case?
It's almost impossible to believe, but I will explain the link between Dr. Scythe, the professor, and that one other person of interest. I have evidence that will explain exactly what I'm suggesting happened that night. Council, present the evidence at once. The evidence that allegedly explains what really happened that night of the professor's execution.
Is it the article? He was alive the whole time. When he popped out, he was shot by Dr. Scythe.
Take that!
What happened that night is written very plainly in this newspaper article. An executed criminal returns in the dead of night at local cemetery.
You're suggesting it was a corpse coming back from the dead now.
Well, if this article is to be believed, yes. The professor, assumed dead following his execution, emerged from his grave and was killed again.
Objection!
Don't be a fool. That's simply a rumor published by the gutter press.
Can you be certain of that?
Are you serious?
The point is, as the article says, there was a witness to what happened.
My word! Yes, indeed.
Must we? The young man who stole into the cemetery by chance that night.
Objection!
Of course there was a witness. The story didn't write itself. But obviously the man made it all up.
In any case, this was 10 years ago now. There would surely be no hope of finding him.
Objection!
On the contrary, my lord, we all know this witness well.
What? Are you suggesting, counsel, that you've identified the person in question? That you know who claims to have seen this utterly incredible event take place?
Yes, my lord. In fact, you could say he's right here before my very eyes.
You substantiate your latest claim now, counsel. Now then, counsel. Who was the alleged witness of this staggering scene from the cemetery 10 years ago?
Take that!
Enoch Drebber. The man in question is Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Drebber? The previous witness?
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors at Madame Tussauds Museum of Waxwork recreates that decade-old scene in great detail. The condemned criminal emerging from the grave, and beside the tomb, a young man with a lantern stumbling upon the terrifying sight. And that young man is a 10-year younger Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Order! Order! Order!
Surely not, counsel.
Drebber was there, in No Gate Cemetery.
What is all this talk about Mr. Drebber? Is the name significant?
Of course, Madame Tussauds doesn't know, does she? Yes, it's extremely significant, madame. To your situation as well, in fact.
What situation?
The theft of the Professor Waxwork from your museum some days ago was perpetrated by the very same man.
None. But that would mean...
Madame Dustbills. It would appear you know the name Enoch Trevor.
Wait, yes, I know it. But from long ago, in the past.
What?
Oh my!
Good gracious! Explain yourself. Tell us everything you know.
Yes, yes, of course. The story of the young man and the terrible sight he witnessed in the cemetery 10 years ago was published in every single newspaper in London and throughout Great Britain. However, in all of the articles, the witness was simply described as a certain young man. No details were published about his identity. His name was never revealed. That is, apart from one newspaper. The Daily Circus. It is the paper from which comes the article I have already shown the court.
You're saying that his full name was only publicized in that article? Goodness me, yes! Here it is! The university student who experienced this shocking event is Mr. Enoch Trevor, a disciple of science at the University of London, and a resident of the student dorms. Unbelievable.
When I read the article, I went to meet with the man. His discovery of the condemned criminal coming back to life in the cemetery in the dead of night would make a perfect exhibit for my house of horrors, whether it was the truth or not.
I see. So you went to meet Mr. Trevor in order to sculpt a waxwork of the man, did you?
Exactement. He was studying science at the University of London in those days. He was just a poor student. I paid him £5 tomorrow for the waxwork. And since that time, it has been in my museum to recreate the scene of terror from the cemetery.
So, 10 years ago, a young man appealed to the public about an extraordinary event he'd witnessed. A criminal who had been put to death, re-emerging from his grave in the middle of the night. But the public treated his claim as nothing more than an amusing anecdote that was soon forgotten. 10 years later, the same man steals a waxwork model of the executed criminal, ostensibly to use as a body double for the victim in the case we're discussing here today. Even though the waxwork's build is a poor match for the victim, and his face is obscured by a mask. So the question is, why would the man do such a thing? Which brings us to 3 days ago, when the birdcage crashed into the Crystal Tower. If the birdcage had, in fact, contained not the body of Mr. Asman, but that same waxwork, the coroner from Scotland Yard who investigated Dr. Seiss would have noticed immediately. And yet, he submitted this autopsy report for the victim, which the court has seen earlier. Why? Because the waxwork was that of the professor. Is that what you are saying? Dr. Seiss put her name to a document confirming the death of a condemned criminal who was still alive. A criminal whose apparent resurrection was witnessed by Mr. Trevor. But that misconduct was a deadly secret the coroner would do anything to protect. Which is precisely why Mr. Trevor used that particular waxwork as the body double. Ugh! My lord, this court must summon Dr. Seiss to the stand. The defense is determined. to find out exactly how the coroner and Mr. Drebber are connected. But, according to the missive I received this morning through the prosecutor's office, Dr. Size is unable to participate in these proceedings. Is that not the case?
She twits herself, didn't she? Lord Van Zeeks will be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it.
Lord Strongheart?
The Pandora's box you were warned about is the professor's case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me.
Something happened on the night of that killer's execution 10 years ago. And surely nobody would want to get to the bottom of that more than Lord Van Zeeks. The prosecution calls for the instructions in that missive to be scrapped. But, Lord Van Zeeks, that missive was issued from the Lord Chief Justice's office.
Objection!
The assigned prosecutor has the final say on policy in any particular trial. In other words, me. Yes. Let Enoch Drebber and Dr. Seiss both take the stand together. Oh, that's unexpected. Didn't think my thumbnail would be so accurate. Order! 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 Very well, I will uphold your request. Bailiff, send a subpoena with immediate effect addressed to Dr. Seiss of the Forensic Investigation Team. The woman is compelled to attend on Her Majesty's orders. Alright then. Enoch Drebber and Dr. Seiss. If they weren't concluding with one another, this crime could never have been committed. I'm just a stone's throw away. I can feel it. The truth behind all of this is about to come out. Madame, why are you still there? And we'll get to the bottom of this next time. Whew, reaching the end here. We might be able to actually finish it tomorrow. Actually, that processing mission didn't take too long. But then we have the epilogue afterwards too, so who knows. Anyways. Whew. You're reaching a conclusion. Until then, thank you everyone who joined me today, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.